Justin, welcome to Book Club 26 of the Thoughtful Travellers Book Club. And we have this
The same,
delightful...
looks like the same one here.
It is the same edition, and I have seen online there are not hundreds, but dozens of different editions. Travels with Charley by John Steinbeck. I am sad that this cover does not contain a picture of Charley, because some do. But I have Googled pictures of Charley, and I wish I had met Charley the dog because he looked fabulous. And
I see. I was thinking, I'm glad there's a map somewhere of the travels, but because
you're
I
right,
always
same.
feel like a book about travels like this needs to have a map, but it's a bit of a
Artistic
it's
version.
artistic, yes. Although it does have the bears, so
Yeah, that's true. It has the reminders of some of the
some of the
best
things, and
parts
there's
along the way.
there's the little loop where I think he did the loop at the border. So
Yes. Well, it's funny you should mention those two things, because I actually wanted to start with Charley, because Charley is like the hero of this book to me.
yeah,
The hero of the tale, the world's best dog, best traveling dog. And when we were discussing our memorable parts, you emailed me back with two particular Charley stories, which are fabulous. So please share.
Well, I think the first one was, it was these were a fair way into the book because he spent the first half of the book just hanging around up in the New England part of America. So, but he was trying to cut across Canada because as was common in his book, he was avoiding all the cities, and of course, this was in a time without uh, you know, GPS navigation and things like this. So you had to use maps and stuff, and you wouldn't have had a map for every city. So he was trying to avoid Canada, and of course, the American border let him out, but then the Canadian border said, "Oh, do you have your vaccination certificate?" And for Charley, and of course he didn't. But Charley is a French poodle, so surely one wouldn't need. And I think he did sort of say Charley looked nonplussed about the whole experience, but he ended up turning back, and then I can't remember what the American border guy then said, but kind of knew, yep, that's because I think even the American guy did mention something about it, but yes, but the Canadian guy was kind of pointing out, we will let you in, but you won't be able to get back to America. So, and that was kind of humorous, and I mean, I imagine people coming to Australia experience some of this as well. Our borders with very protective on these kind of things, but and a story that I liked though the most was with going into national park with the bears, and of course Charlie not being fussed about cats doesn't even give them a second look, and I don't even know if I think he did come across some dogs as well. I think other than doing normal dog stuff was fine with dogs as well. But
All animals to this point.
yeah,
Charley was perfectly happy with.
perfectly. And the park ranger was adamant, like, the bears will one swipe and Charlie will be gone. Don't let your dog near the bears. And he says, oh, he won't care about the bears. And yet, as soon as they saw bears, Charlie was possessed. There was something about it, like he wanted to.
And he didn't even see them, like he was only still in the
Yeah,
van. He saw
yeah.
them
And
just coming through.
I reckon he probably could smell them. Is because being a dog. That's what I was thinking. He could
That's
smell
fair. Yeah.
something, and that was probably what got him. But but yes, but the description that he was, I think it was Jekyll and Hyde. He turned into Hyde, and
Yeah.
every time. So yeah, they couldn't even stay in the park because
No, because Charley
because
went completely
the
nuts,
bonkers.
crazy,
Yeah,
bonkers,
yeah.
like
So
barking like never before, and this is just inside the van. So
yeah,
yes,
so
so
yeah,
they decided,
and
all right, let's hightail it out of here
yeah.
and
So
not
so
even
the
sleep here. Yeah.
so the very regal French poodle of what was it? Yeah, royal descent or whatever. Like the prim and proper poodle who also needed a bit of grooming at one stage, and
That's right.
also needed a couple of vet visits because the first vet was incompetent. But yeah,
Yes. Was an elderly dog
Elderly
at this
dog,
stage,
yes.
so
Yeah.
yes, but it sounded like he really enjoyed the trip, which
And
would make it
I did like also the poof sound
yes,
when he wanted to go to the toilet.
yes. Oh,
I mean, that's what I was thinking of it in my head. Poof.
yeah, same, same. No, mine was the same. I actually did say it out loud a few times as I
Yeah,
read, just to kind of get the feel for it. So,
yeah,
honestly, I love someone who clearly loves their animal. That's
yeah,
always
yeah.
always a big green flag, and it was lovely the way that Steinbeck talked
I
about
mean,
Charlie.
yeah, I follow, follow a lot of adventures online. There are people who do this with similar kind of stuff in camper vans, with cats, with dogs. I think I've seen parrots and stuff as well. And yeah,
Yeah, it's nice.
it sounds like the dream life.
Yeah, I think for a dog, it's the dream life, isn't it? For
Life, yeah,
sure.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
When I see cats, I'm always amazed that their cats are so different to every cat I've ever met
If you've ever owned, yeah,
because I don't feel like my cats have ever loved. Oh, that's not true. When I was young, so we had a little shack about an hour and a
yeah,
half south, and we would go there for long weekends, and so we went frequently, and we had two sets of two cats who we did take down with us every time we went. And we had a little beach frontage on the estuary,
yeah.
and we would take our cats to the beach there, and people did give us some weird looks. So, okay, having thought that through, it is possible to have
Well,
cats, but
apparently
they
it
weren't
is.
used to that spot. I don't know about
Apparently you can
somewhere
walk them on,
different.
you can walk cats on leads and they'll sit in strollers and do all sorts of things
Yeah,
if you get
if
the
you
right
have
cat.
the yeah, I was going to say if you have the right cat.
If the
I'm not
cat
sure.
decides that's what it wants. So,
Well,
but
exactly. That's
anyway,
right. So yes, Charlie is a good segue into one of my favorite kind of topics about the book, and that was the way that Steinbeck made sure he met local people. So, because one of his
yes,
kind of aims of the trip was to talk to local people and find
mm,
out what are Americans like now across the country. And Charlie was a great he just called him an ambassador. I've got this lovely part. He said. In establishing contact with strange people, Charlie is my ambassador. I release him, and he drifts
yeah,
toward the objective, or rather to whatever the objective may be preparing for dinner. I go to retrieve him so he will not be a nuisance to my neighbours, and voila, then he's made an introduction. And of course, like, it totally makes sense. The number of
yeah.
people I've got to chat to because I go and talk to their dog first, 100% makes sense. And in a camping somewhere and there's other people camping, like, of course, it's the best way to get to know people.
A friend of mine and I often say the problem is I want to go talk to the dog, but I don't really want to go talk to the person.
Yeah, that's sometimes true, isn't it?
Yeah,
Oh dear, yeah. So, that was my favourite way that he made sure he spoke with locals. But there was a couple of other things that I thought was good advice. Like in one place he says, he figured out that going to either bars, churches on a Sunday,
yeah,
and roadside diners were the three good places,
yeah,
which also makes sense to me.
yeah, yeah. And I think he he definitely started off doing a lot of that in the book, and then of course, um, and the timing in the book is that you can see basically because you get about a third of the way through the book, and he's only barely left the sort of northeast New England area,
Yeah.
and he gets kind of to California, and you're about almost done, and then he zips across with some stuff about Texas and Louisiana, and that's about it. So, and he, even in his book, he kind of suggests he's lost the energy and decided that what he was trying to discover by talking to people was, yeah, didn't. I don't know if he met his objectives, but I think he still enjoyed the various conversations he had.
Exactly.
Usually, also lured in with some of his extensive alcohol cabinet
Yes.
that he has in his truck.
That was my other point that I was going to make about how he made sure he met locals, and I thought this was kind of genius. That
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, as he was leaving, he stocked up on, like, I don't know, many different kinds of alcohol, and he didn't
Mm.
like drink them ordinarily. It was just when
No,
he was
no.
there, and he could
Well,
invite
even when he
people
offered a
in,
coffee,
and
he'd go, "Do you want something stronger in your coffee?" It's
yeah,
just
yeah, he was very generous. Also, that does help
yeah,
people
yeah,
have
yeah.
have a longer chat often. So fair
Yeah,
enough, I
yeah,
think. So
yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But I like I love to try and get to talk with a few local people as I
Sure.
travel, and I thought he had some good strategies. And I remember my own, van life when I was a kid, and we'd be at caravan parks, and
Yeah.
I realize now that kind of my sister and I were the Charlies. So because
Oh,
he even wrote a child can do the same thing, but a dog is better as
yes,
the
yes.
ambassadors. And yeah, like we made lots of friends amongst caravan park dwellers, and we would then often meet up with them again over other parts of Europe. So yeah, my parents probably just sent us loose too, and we
It's just
found
out.
other
Why have a dog
families.
when
And
you got kids? Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, they can talk even. So, although I
Yeah.
do think
Yeah.
a dog is better because like everyone's gonna like a dog,
Everyone likes
whereas
dogs, yeah.
kids
Well,
can be
not
annoying.
not everyone, but yeah.
No, not everyone. That's true, but the vast majority. And honestly,
Yeah.
Charlie looked like a dog that everyone would like. So,
Yeah. Yes.
bless him.
Yeah.
So yes. Um. All right. The other thing that I loved was he really treated and talked about travel as being everyone should have their own individual experience.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, look, I've been to a lot of places, and I'm still like I was in Paris earlier this year for the second time, just to make sure that my first opinions on Paris uh, were not,
Wrong?
you know, wrong, but I just didn't like it. Yet there are some people who rave about Paris, who rave, and it's just a place I just really struggle to enjoy. Like, and I think, and I mean, he mentions also Prague in the book, and I had a similar kind of, but experience in Prague where I mean, I did like Prague. It was just I thought I was going in the off season, and shoulder season, I kind of was, but there was like a Avon ladies convention on, and so the city was packed with Avon ladies, which generally there's nothing wrong with Avon ladies. They're not friendly people, but there was just heaps of them. There was thousands of them, and they're all wearing identical matching pink shirts. So you could see this tide of pink people wandering around the city on little tours and stuff. So yeah, but yeah, it it's everyone has a different like when people say to you, "Oh, what should I do when I go to this place if you've been there?" And it's like, I mean, I'd go to places that other people would not enjoy. So, um,
Exactly.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
Japan would be a classic example as well. So, of
Yeah.
what people would like to get out of that as a destination. So, um,
Yeah.
yeah, it's
Absolutely.
everything is. People can like the same place for completely different reasons. So,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And what I think he was like very insightful about this because I think
yeah,
these days, and thanks to modern media
yeah,
and everything and like podcasts and social
mm,
media and everything, a lot of people are trying to have the same trip as what they've
yeah, and I
seen
think that's
someone
probably
else have.
more.
And
I think
that's
that's
not helpful.
no, that's the thing. I think that's what a lot of people, and I touched on it as well because that's where everyone where and yeah, there are obviously places you want to go to that are going to be popular, but you, it's hard to have an enjoyable experience because they're popular. And
Yeah.
but then social media is also pushing people. But I mean, it wasn't. There was obviously a time before social media where, if you went to Europe and you didn't go to Rome, Paris, Venice, London, that kind of thing. If you didn't go visit those main sites and you went to any other country or any other town before social media, it would have been amazing. But you probably would have also had much more difficulty with the language barrier and things like that. And
Yeah. And trouble to
by
even find out
so
about it, what it
yeah,
is
yeah,
to
yeah.
wear and
So
stuff.
even
So,
even in
yeah.
the day of guidebooks and stuff like that, like once the guidebook mentioned a place, a restaurant, or a hotel, or a location, then um,
Yeah, the
uh,
Lonely Planet effect, and
yeah,
then
yeah,
suddenly everyone's in that
everyone would.
restaurant, and
So
yeah, yeah,
so yeah, and I mean, John Steinbeck was obviously on his travels trying to avoid frequenting anywhere that was, because he's always avoiding cities, always avoiding the highly popular. He just wanted to obviously meet people and
See the land.
see the land and yeah. So, and I imagine in 1960s USA that was not too hard to do.
Yeah.
And it sounds like it was an anomaly. He'd come across occasionally someone with a similar camper van type thing, but it sounded more like an anomaly before the big American RVs had taken off whenever they took
Yes.
off. Um,
Yes.
and
Yes.
now are probably way more common. So, um,
Yeah, I think
yeah.
A, it was a different time,
Mm,
and B, he still had a good attitude. Like, I feel like if he was alive
yeah.
today, he would be also traveling. He would be a
But
thoughtful traveler.
yeah, yeah. And I reckon you could still do the trip he did today in America or Australia or Canada or any of these big countries and see
Yeah.
places that aren't that common. So I think it would that kind of stuff, that kind of travel would still be possible. Like I just know from some of the little short day trips, and you've probably been to places over in WA where they're not heavily touristed. So
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Exactly.
especially in Australia, more inland because everyone loves the coast, everyone loves the beaches, but you go inland a bit and there's no one there. Yeah, it's just
Absolutely
so
right.
you could still enjoy that kind of trip, I think, and I think you probably could do it in Europe too. You just there's a lot of little
Oh,
towns around.
100%.
You just
Absolutely.
avoid the
Yeah.
big cities and just you kind of traveling for, I guess, in the hope of finding something interesting or more an
Yeah.
exploration type
Yes, just
motive.
wandering to find what
Yeah,
you
you
find, and
might,
not with
and
the objective of,
it
yeah,
might be a
particularly.
little bakery or a little shop that sells wine or cheese or something like that, or in Europe,
Exactly. Yeah.
or as he was doing, like the roadside farm stalls, kind of eggs and stuff like
Good
that.
fresh
Which,
eggs. Exactly.
yeah, yeah. So,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
So I can
and these are
see,
the places where you stumble into interesting people who'll got
yeah,
time
yeah,
for a chat, and
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
I think exactly right. I think you can still do it today. It's all about just having that in mind. I've got a
yeah,
quote from him where he said, when he was describing journeys in general, and he said, "They are things in themselves, each one an individual, and no two alike." And
yeah,
that's the problem when people are trying to make their trip alike to,
yeah,
hundreds
yeah,
of that have gone before and are still going. Then that's when we get this. Yeah, then we get into over tourism and a whole lot
yeah,
of
yeah. Exactly.
Instagrammable moments, and everyone's going somewhere for a photo and all of that. So, not my favorite
Yeah.
way to travel
No,
at all.
no,
So,
no.
yeah, yeah. Um, I'll just briefly mention Sandy. Hello, Sandy has joined us in the Zoom room.
Oh yes.
Towards the end, Sandy, I'll hello. Good. I'll unmute you and we can have a proper chat. But yeah, sorry, we have had a few tech issues today. But Justin, we are actually also streaming live on the Facebook page of Not a Ballerina,
Oh,
because despite the error message that Zoom gave me, it also did stream, even though it told me it wasn't. So, that's fun.
yeah,
But
yeah.
so
The
I've
internet.
put I've put that link into the group as well. So there's people watching us there. So hello to people who did find us. There's a couple there on the on the Thoughtful Travelers page eventually. So yeah, tech, hello. But do say hello wherever you are. And yes, Sandy, hello. My next thing is, we've kind of stumbled into this topic already, Justin, but the best trips are unplanned. And I just got a quote, and then I think we've covered a bit of this already, but we'll just wrap it up.
Yeah,
So his quote was, "I wonder why it is that when I plan a route too carefully, it goes to pieces. Whereas if I blunder along in blissful ignorance, aimed in a fancied direction, I get through with no trouble." I like this. This is one of
yeah.
my favorite ways to travel.
Yeah. This and the whole. This is a thing where you kind of like. Often feel like I don't want to overbook something. Like you don't want
Yes.
to overbook your transport and your hotels, but obviously you kind of feel like these days you need to. And
Sometimes you really do need, depending where you
yeah,
are.
yeah,
Like when you've just
yeah.
been to Europe, yeah, you would know. There's,
But I
especially in
guess
Europe, there's
if you had a
places you can.
van,
Yeah.
if you have a van or a camp van or something like
A
that,
tent.
you tend, yeah, if that's up to your standards of accommodation,
Yeah, I'm not suggesting I'm going to grab a tent and go, but
No,
yes,
no,
just
I don't think
as
you're
an
gonna.
example.
I don't for 1 minute think you're gonna cross the Nullarbor with a tent, Amanda.
You do know
But
me.
hey, you never know.
Is that a dare? No, I'm still not doing it.
I might make some good content. I don't know. The yeah. So I guess in some ways that becomes a problem. But then I was thinking just on my recent trip to Europe, even though I did book all of that, um, you can still have just a lot of unplanned days where you just explore and wander and do things. So you kind of get that feeling anyway. And like I think I had planned about for 6 was it 5 weeks in Europe? I think I had planned about four things to do in 6 weeks, so 5, 6 weeks. So
Yeah.
you know, um, and there were things I definitely wanted to go do and I didn't get to do as well because I just found other things. So it's but yeah, you kind of got to have a level of planning that allows you to know that if you were going to miss something, whether you'd be disappointed. Like I can think of in Europe, the Alhambra was something I had to book, otherwise I would not have got into it.
Exactly.
And same with if you go like Japan's a classic example these days that if you don't book stuff, you've got no chance. You won't even. So, but yeah, but then equally in places like Japan, you find some amazing things just by
I mean,
walking somewhere
or just
different.
hopping on a train,
Train, yeah,
I spent a full week in Tohoku. We didn't know each day
just
where
getting
we
off at
would
a random.
stay, and then we would just find a new place to stay each night. But
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
sure, if you're going to Tokyo to do, the team labs or all those kind of really popular
yeah, yeah.
Instagrammable moments, you definitely need to
Well,
book. So
I
it's
remember I remember I did a quick Google search one night in Tokyo, and I said, and it was basically like the best station on the Yamanote line for night photography. And I didn't even look at I didn't even look at the Instagram. I just wanted to, and it was about 3 or 4 stations away, and that's what I went and did, and got off and wandered the streets because I had some nice streets with neon signs and stuff. So,
that's cool.
um,
What a great Google! I love that.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But I deliberately didn't want to look at the photos, the Instagram side of things, because that's where you then go, oh, I want
I
to go.
want to find that specific
Yeah.
spot
So
instead of
so
just
I
wandering.
probably found stuff that was very popular on Instagram, but I tried to do it as organically as I could without
Yeah. Yeah.
being motivated or trying to find. Yeah. So I didn't
Yeah,
want the
you just
visual
found a spot that you knew
clues.
that was recommended as being
Yeah,
useful,
yeah,
good for
yeah.
that kind of night,
So
and then
so
just
you can do things like that.
I love that. That's great.
I think things like you could do similar things like a neighborhood, like what's a cool neighborhood to visit in a city, and don't look up the places there.
Yeah.
Just
Get the broad
it's
recommendation and then
get
go
the
and have a
broad
wander.
recommendation and go, yeah,
That's actually a really good tip. I love that. I've never
yeah.
really explicitly thought about it
Well, I
like
didn't
that, but I
realize it
love
was a tip until I just said it and thought about
it. Well done.
it.
That's excellent. Okay, tied into that, my next little quote that I had. See, I think he was very thoughtful.
Mm,
He was talking about often people go places just because they think they should, which is
yeah.
exactly what we've just said. And what he said about it was that often in tourism, he thought, I don't know if he used the word tourism, but I am, one goes not so much
Mm.
to see, but to tell afterward.
Which is, yeah, like I was clearly seeing the future, or things have not changed in 60 years.
Maybe a bit of both, exactly. I think back 60 years ago, it was probably the slideshow after a trip and people like showing off, yes, we went here,
Yeah.
here, and here. And today it's Instagram or TikTok or
Mm,
whatever. But yeah, maybe things have changed less than we thought.
yeah. Yeah, and I think I did mention this to you as well, without going into the really heavy stuff in the book, because there is some of that. Uh, and as I said to you, it feels like things have changed, but they really changed? And uh, perhaps we're just viewing things differently. But yeah, it's a bit. Yeah. Anyway, like I said,
Yeah. I mean, yeah, just broadly, like the politics mentioned in the book,
Yeah,
was really not dissimilar. I mean, in many ways, not
we
dissimilar to.
see different things, but it's still equally sad type stuff
Yeah,
that
yeah, exactly. Like
and it's just
we were talking about this yesterday, Justin, that you and I both had learnt about oh gosh, now the word
the
escapes me.
the
The
cheerleaders
cheerleaders, yes.
in Louisiana, and being Australians, we would never have known. But I wonder how many Americans would have heard
Yeah,
about
I don't
that.
know if that's a commonly taught part of US
We've
history.
heard of some. I've heard of some things, and yeah, but um, and even then, we're probably not even that as knowledgeable of some of the things that happened, say in Australia, similar to, and so yeah, and I think
Absolutely true.
this is one of those things that's like whether we know more about things that happened in things like World War and stuff like that. Like everyone knows those stories in Australia, but we don't know any of the stories involving these kind of racial
Yeah.
events. So
Absolutely, yeah, yeah. I mean, yes. I thought it was a product of my time that,
mm,
during year 11 and 12 history at school, we went
yeah,
very deeply into European and
yeah,
mostly European parts of World Wars
yeah,
1 and 2. And yet I see on curricula today pretty similar actually. So,
yeah,
and of course
yeah,
these are important things to know about, but when you like I remember down south here a few years
yeah,
back in Bustleton, near Bustleton, I learnt about an Indigenous massacre there that was actually
yeah.
like really significant, and I had reached like 40 something years of age and never heard a thing of it, and that's kind of
Or
cool. So
or the story I love is the emu wars over in WA,
yes,
and I've heard more about that because it's just funny. Yeah, I mean people, and I think
true.
it's more palatable for people to know that story and less depressing. Whereas, yeah. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, and it's probably worth just mentioning that there was towards the back of the book, especially there was some stuff in there. So, but it was in the 1960s, so
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. I think, of course,
you have to view these things through a lens
of their
that it was
time.
60 years ago. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
um,
Yeah. Absolutely.
but
Um.
yeah, as
Yeah.
you and I did, we googled stuff because we didn't know about it,
Yes. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah, I googled a lot of stuff. I was a slow
yeah,
reader of this book because I kept going
mm,
to Google to find out more. But which is I like that.
yeah,
So, now there's a couple more things I want to talk about, but in particular, van life. So last year I did
mm,
my van life series
yeah, yeah,
special, looking back on life in our family camper van in 1985. So that was closer to 1960 than
yeah,
now. But Beck set himself up beautifully. He
yeah,
had everything he needed really, and he sensibly would stay in a motel or somewhere, you know, sounded like once a weekish or so.
yeah,
Just have
yeah.
a proper bath, he seemed, and
But
bless
yeah,
him.
yeah. I I mean, this is one of the things that I've done a lot of googling things like van life because it's a very popular thing these days. Uh, and there are two kinds of people doing it. It's the people who are just traveling, and then there are the people who are doing it because essentially it's an affordable way to live.
Mm.
But they're still kind of traveling. They're just doing it differently. They're not staying in one spot. But yeah, I definitely want to do a bit of van life, and as is normal in Australia, when one retires, one either gets a caravan or a camper van, and off they go
Does the lap.
around, does a lap of Australia.
Yeah.
I I I kind of feel like if I ever do that as a whole lap in one go, I'd like to think I could do it in 2 or 3 years and not just
Yes.
rush around
Not just 6
in
months or something.
6
Yeah.
months like my parents and grandparents did with their caravans. So,
Yeah.
um, and just stop somewhere for a week and just not do much. Maybe write my memoirs, or I don't know,
Yeah. Yeah.
or
Yeah.
teach myself how to paint or draw or something,
Oh,
or
yes, nice. Yeah.
something like that. Something
Yeah.
creative, and you just find a nice spot, and you just feel motivated
Mm.
to not to do something like that. That to me would be the van life to live. But yeah,
Yeah, absolutely.
we'll
I know
see.
it's idyllic
We'll see.
sounding, but
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Do book club whatever 205 from my van somewhere in Australia.
Exactly. Okay, it's a
We'll
date.
see. We'll see where we get to.
Oh no, I love it, and there's something. And so something kind of just romantic about you
Yeah.
carrying everything with you. You can stop wherever you want, to some extent.
Yes. Yeah.
Having had those, short stints in life when I did that. The only thing that
Yeah.
always bothers me is I have no mechanical aptitude at all,
Yeah.
and um, I just worry about being stuck somewhere. And he was somewhere in I can't remember where, and he had to change his tire. And I
Tires.
can't
Yeah.
even change a tire. I still call it RAC if I have a flat tire because it's included in my membership. So why do I? My dad taught me.
Yeah.
Thanks, Dad. He did teach me to change a tire when I was a teenager, but I have never had to do it. And yeah,
I think.
anyway,
I
so
think
that's
if you're.
my issue
I
with
think if you're
van
going
life.
to, if you're going to dive into a lengthy stint in van life, it would be the sort of thing you would.
Do some
Uh,
study or mechanical
yeah. Or
studies.
I wouldn't be surprised if there's not like handy. I'm sure I've seen them before. Handy little courses, like basic mechanics or basic.
There
But
probably
then
are,
again, who
probably
knows?
specifically for van life people these days.
Yeah,
You're
who
probably
knows
right.
what
Yeah.
vans and that are going to be like? They could all be EVs
I
in
was
10
just
years' time.
thinking about I
So,
was having that exact thought
so
actually,
you
so
know,
it might be different anyway. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. So, and that's a different kettle of fish. So,
Yes,
yeah,
yes, exactly. Yes, that's right. So maybe my
it might be even worse though.
mechanicalness is okay. Yeah, might we just you're stranded and that's the end of it.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
maybe also mobile reception could get
Well,
better over
I
the
reckon,
future.
I
Finally in
reckon in
Australia.
the next sort of 10 years, mobile phones will be able to operate. They can now off satellites. So I reckon you're
Yeah.
gonna you're gonna have that.
I mean, I hope so because
There's
for
already emergency use via satellites, and I think by another 10 years, it's probably going to be
much better, much more
much better in the
widespread. I hope
norm.
so.
Yeah,
For non-Australian listeners, you should know that I don't know. I'm going to say
yeah.
about 90% of Australia has basically hardly
No
any
one there.
mobile
Yeah.
connectivity. So, I mean, I've been up to Geraldton and my phone does not work in the airport at Geraldton because
Well,
it's too far from the town and my particular
you also
thing
discovered
isn't covered. So.
catching the train on the east coast. There's
Yes, no
not a
reception
lot of
most of the
mobile
way.
reception. So
Absolutely, and that's in a much more populous kind of
yeah,
corner of the globe. So,
yes.
yeah.
The telcos describe coverage as in how much of the population is covered, not how much of the
Yes,
land. So
exactly. Yes, that's right. So, okay, future.
yeah,
Anyway, it added to my love of the
yes,
idea of van life. Let's say
yes,
that.
yes.
Whether I am suited to it or not is still another
And I think,
another
like
thing.
in Europe, even in the USA, which is as big as Australia, there's far more towns in
Yes,
between places. Like,
yes. They don't have a whole empty middle the
no,
way we do. Yeah,
no,
yeah.
and Canada is a lot similar to Australia in that regards. There's lots of empty
I would
places
be
where
much more wary of van lifing in Canada because I
ever,
immediately think of the bears. So.
yes, yeah,
My friend Erin from the Curious Tourism podcast and her producer Katie, we have an Instagram thread, the three of us. It's called Bear Chat, where
yeah.
exclusively we send each other scary and or amusing videos of people
Oh,
encountering bears. So
I've never seen a bear, and so it's
me
on my
neither. I
bucket
don't
list.
want to.
Oh, I do.
Yeah,
I mean,
I,
obviously, I want to see a bear in a safe
from a
way.
distant
So
enough that it's not
yes.
a bear attacking you. Yeah, yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
especially a polar bear. I'd love to see a polar bear, but anyway.
That would be pretty amazing. You're right. Absolutely. Now, a couple of other favorite parts. Oh, I forgot one of my Charlie parts, which we should have put
Oh,
right at the start with your favorite Charlie parts. When they got to the West Coast and the redwood trees,
oh
and
yes.
Steinbeck was like, I mean, and I agree with him. These trees, are like
I've
these
seen them
forests
there.
and those amazing. That is mind blowing. And of course, Charlie the dog loves a tree because that's what dogs
Yeah,
do. So he's like, he described how he put Charlie in the back so he
introduced.
couldn't even see the trees as they're
Yeah,
driving
yeah,
in. He wanted to have this kind of grand,
yeah,
ta-da! Here are the redwood trees, and Charlie was completely nonplussed.
yeah.
I guess not such a good
Uh,
leg cocking tree compared to the average tree. They're
and
too big
and they are impressive trees, but yes, probably from
to
a
a
dog's
dog.
perspective, it's like,
Yeah.
I don't know what this is.
This looks more like the side of a house. So.
House, yeah.
But I did love that. So I love the care he took to try and make this a good experience for Charley.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
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 You can tell a lot about a person by the way they treat their dog or their
dog.
cat.
Yes.
Yeah. Sidebar note to Australian politics this week.
Yes, I was just thinking that too.
Anyway, okay, one more of my favourite bits was, and I wondered, Justin, I should have given you a heads up if you have any places like this, but he talked about memorable place names from childhood. Now, I don't know why I didn't write down the one that he had mentioned, but it's like the ones where you know the place for no other reason other than some random thing from childhood. For me, the two things that sprang to mind was Marble Bar, which is an almost non-existent town in WA. I don't know if it's changed its name or anything either, but it was always on the news, on the weather, throughout my childhood as the hottest place in Western Australia. So every night they go, and today's highest maximum was in Marble Bar, where they reached 48.7 degrees Celsius or whatever. And Taiwan, because on everything I owned, it said made in Taiwan. And so to me, Taiwan was, and so when I finally got to go to Taiwan, I've never been to Marble Bar, but when I got to Taiwan, it was like, oh, this is like this whole childhood thing. Do you have any places from childhood?
I have a similar one to Marble Bar, because the weather in Australia, in where I live, would have focused on New South Wales, and a place called Tibooburra up in the far northwest, which is right in the corner with Queensland, South Australia, and New South Wales borders, and it was always on the weather as being the hottest place in New South Wales at the time. I did actually go to Tibooburra around during COVID times because we couldn't leave the state, so I actually did drive up there, and it's a long way from anywhere, and then I think it was still about a 2-hour drive on a dirt road to the border where the borders all met. And where the borders all met, there was a little roadhouse place that did meat pies and stuff like that, and a little marker showing the corner of the 3 states. But you sort of think, if this was in, these places are so remote, but if they were in like Europe or America, there would probably be well, there was actually souvenirs. I got a fridge magnet, but from the cafe,
more
from
significant souvenirs.
Yes, but yes,
or a big attraction there, and,
big attractions, and and a massive sign saying "Welcome to the." And I know there are places in the USA and Europe where four borders meet and things like that. So
cool.
And so they're somewhat of a tourist attraction, but and so I saw that place on the weather all the time, and
exactly, that's my Marble Bar. What is it?
Tibooburra.
Tibooburra. I've never heard of it. Ever heard of it. So
there's a couple of hotels in town and not much else. But
going to those places is so fun when you've got that like long-term childhood connection.
Yeah,
so.
And there would have been a lot of international places as well. I would have read on in atlases and things like that. Like I remember there's a place in Africa which I never got to yet, but I think it's in Mali, or is it Burkina Faso? I think it's Burkina Faso, because Mali has Timbuktu. I remember when I found that Timbuktu exists. But I think Burkina Faso, which was Upper Volta in the days I went to school, Ouagadougou, just because of the name.
I know. I
don't know what's there.
I thought I know where you're going.
Is
that the correct pronunciation? Because in our household we've always called
maybe
it
not.
Ouagadougou, but
I think it's Ouagadougou, but I could.
There is a U in
do
there, so
not
it makes
know.
sense. Sorry to anyone.
Know.
Yeah, sorry to any Burkina Fasans who are listening and
that.
This wrong.
I think the Burkina Fasans would be excited that we even know and are mentioning it.
Yeah.
So
it's true.
Shout out to all the Burkina Fasans in Ouagadougou and correct us.
Yes, and please tell us how to pronounce that name. Yes.
But look, I don't know what I think. The safety in parts of Africa is always a problem. But I would literally, if I ever get to that part of the world near there, I will probably find a flight, just pop in and find a sign with it on there, and, for no reason. So. There may be other things there. There's probably are, but this is all the exploring stuff.
Yeah, and Timbuktu too. I had a guest many years ago who wrote a book to Timbuktu for a haircut. with
yeah,
Antonsen, and yeah, that's kind of what he did. But yeah, I
yeah,
mean, also he stayed a bit longer, and it was a great story. So
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I love that. Like, I think it's fine to have random reasons to go anywhere. I think
To
it's a
go
nice way
anywhere,
to
yeah.
travel. So yeah. All right. So Sandy, who's online with us here, Sandy, if you've got any questions, or Sandy, are you happy to come on face to face? Just type in the chat if you are, because then I can let you in. But I understand if not. And if you've got any questions or comments you'd rather type, then go ahead. Anyone on the other channels, I am still trying to monitor that as well, but I'm not 1,000% sure that the comments will be showing up
Uh,
because technology, hey, technology is so mean sometimes, but we'll see how we go. But
I was going to say, you've also chucked down here. We, oh, she'll stay in the
Sandy,
chat.
I'll stand chat. Fair enough. Sandy,
Uh,
just if you pop in if you've got an overall thought, like, did you enjoy Travels with Charley? I'd love to know. And if yes, why? If not, why not?
because I think you've also put down on one thing we haven't touched on yet was the avoid the mental trap of aging for
Oh,
travel.
I didn't scroll down far enough. Yes, yes, and that was right at the start when he was kind of
Yeah.
deciding, to go. And I can't
Mm.
remember how he described it, but it was really like, I don't want to. It feels like I think that the gist was, oh, maybe I can't go because I'm getting too old. Okay, that's the reason why I'm going to go.
Yeah, yeah. And I've known a lot of people. I've met a lot of people over the years, and it's interesting because I kind of feel like the people I know who not so much travel, doesn't have to be travel, but they get into this their their life is kind of they don't travel, they don't do much, and then yeah, and then you can see the deterioration
Yes.
in their life, and and yeah, often they're family members, and you just kind of feel helpless because by that stage it's probably too late to try and get them into something like get them a hobby to do, or
Yeah.
they're too old to travel, and or that's what they'll tell you, and then
Yeah.
um
Yeah.
yeah, so
No, it's tricky, isn't it? I know so my dad is 88
mm,
and is still in very good health for 88. But a few years ago, he did say to me, I'm not going to do any more of those long haul flights. That's just too far. And I was like,
yeah,
I get it. Like, I actually,
yeah, yeah,
but he's actually going to Europe next month or almost
yeah,
next week. And that's probably partly because my stepmother is like, no, I want to go. Come with
yeah,
me.
yeah,
And
yeah,
she's been like with her sister and stuff, without him. But and like, even though I know he's like, oh, it's so
yeah,
far, and I get it, but
yeah,
I
yeah.
know he'll also really enjoy it.
Enjoy it, yeah.
And it does, yeah, I think it is a good thing to be able to keep
So
going.
yeah, yeah, and I mean, as you say, it's travel's a good one, but it doesn't
Doesn't
have to
have
be
to be
travel.
travel. No,
But
absolutely. It's just kind of engaging in things where
yeah,
you encounter new people or new ideas or new
yeah, yeah.
experiences. And yeah,
Like,
yeah,
you
yeah.
see people doing like a hobby or something, and then they go down to the markets and sell them every weekend and things like that. So it
Yeah, so
keeps
many.
their
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
mind
Okay, we
engaged
we,
and
we
that.
need to remember this in 30 years,
Yeah, yeah,
Justin. We
yeah.
need to hold each other
I,
accountable. So, because I can
I'm
see how it
wondering.
happens.
I'm wondering, like, in 30 years, I've been, I've really only been traveling myself now for 25 years because I was a bit of a late travel bloomer. But yeah, 30 years. I wonder where I'll have been and what I'll have seen. But anyway,
Who knows? Who
who
knows?
knows?
Sandy, thank you for your comments. She said, love the book as I've never been to the US. And I must say, I've only been to like the coast of the US and
Yeah,
not many other parts. So I felt the same. It gave me some
I've
insights.
only been to a few bits like Washington DC, San
Yeah,
Francisco.
yeah.
Uh, yeah, so it's one of those things. It's a place that is probably very, very easy to do when you're older as well, so
This is how I kind of feel because there's
and
no
I
language
used to
barrier.
treat New Zealand like that too, so and I've not even been to Canada, I've kinda treated those places
I
and yet
can do
you
later
could probably put
pieces. Yeah.
Europe in the same bucket. So, it's probably not a valid excuse, but
Well, no, but it's hard because there's so many
it
places
is
and
a
you
big
can't go
place.
everywhere all at once.
That
So
is
yeah,
correct. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So Andy also said, and I agree with this, that she loved the offer of coffee, which immediately eased the situation with people who had newly encountered. And it was so nice to just see,
Yeah.
he often would offer people coffee. They'd come into the van and away they would chat. And
Yeah.
I love that he was, I mean, like I said, right at the start with the alcohol, I love that he was prepared, like he had actually
Yeah.
planned. And, especially in a van, like, they've got to make sure you've got enough cups and all of that. And, like,
I
it's a
wonder
lovely
though.
way to approach it.
I wonder though these days whether people would be willing to step into other people's vans.
I mean, yeah, that's a good, I think yes, especially, like, if you're in a caravan park or something. I really do.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think, yeah, I mean, it's a good question. I mean, if I was a woman alone, would I? There'd be,
I mean, outside.
outside,
Yeah.
sit outside maybe is
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look, it's just,
Yeah.
but it's one of those things with travel. You see people all the time, and they get asked. Someone in the street approaches them, and they have the most amazing travel story and tales to tell because how nice the person was. Yet,
Yeah. Yeah.
um, a
Yeah.
lot of the time you've got your guards up for valid reasons, and you miss out. And how do you? There's not a. I've never seen a good answer. Like
No,
people
it's
just
tricky, isn't
say
it?
trust your gut and everything like that, and some people trust their gut a lot and they have no problems whatsoever, and then some people trust their gut one time and they get robbed or whatever.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. It's sad but
uh,
true. Yeah.
mm.
Yeah. It's tricky. Anyway, that was Travels with Charley. If you have not Googled Charley the dog to see pictures of him, you should, because he was really cute. And I wish I had met
Yeah,
Charley. And yeah, I have to confess, I don't know why.
and the truck as well. The truck is
Yeah.
somewhere. I didn't read where it was, but someone did buy the truck and kept it fairly well preserved. So the truck is in a museum somewhere because I think I
Oh,
saw it behind glass.
it says it's currently preserved at the National Steinbeck Center in Salinas, California.
Well, there you go. So
Yep. There you go. I had not got down to that bit, but I was Googling just beforehand. So, yeah. Yeah. Yes,
and I
it's a
mean,
pretty cool truck.
and before we go, I just have to say this is quite. When I started to read this book, I have to say my ignorance was I knew of the name John Steinbeck. I knew of things like his other books, like The Grapes of Wrath and some of this other stuff, but I'd never even linked any of this together. Like it was just like I'd heard of his books, I've heard of him. I knew he'd won a Nobel Prize, but it was just reading the prologue and in the book, and I was like going, "Oh, okay, that shows you how unknowledgeable in literature I am at times." So,
Oh no, but honestly, me too. In many ways, I would agree with all of
yeah,
that, and probably like if you, I guess, if you grow up in the US,
yeah, you probably
listeners can
read a lot of
correct.
his
I'm sure
works.
that like some of his works would be like prescribed reading in high school or whatever.
School,
I
yeah,
presume.
yeah,
Whereas here, it's just a name that we're familiar with, and
yeah,
but I
yeah,
loved his writing in this. It was just like so. I don't know. I really, really, really enjoyed
yeah,
reading this. It was just a fun delight, but also, made me think a few
yeah,
times and sent me to Google a few times. So,
yeah, yeah,
yeah, yeah, I'm glad we picked it. It was a great read. So, yeah, yeah. And now I have put on my to be read list is, I must read some of his actual novels. So,
yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
So, I should also say that I read somewhere that there's I wouldn't call it controversy, but almost about how factual Travels with Charley is, and that there's some creative license, and that it might be now considered creative nonfiction in today's
uh,
kind of genre markers, where you kind of compile things. But like, I don't care. It's a great book.
no, I
I'm
mean,
sure that the basis is in truth. That's enough for me. So
yeah, it's there's not. If you read the book, I would assume that a lot of the stories have some basis in reality because it's not
yeah,
lots and lots of stories. There's a lot of not necessarily filler, but it's just like you
travel.
can go through pages of and of stuff that I don't really remember anymore because I didn't kind of quickly read through those because they weren't interesting. But so
Yeah.
but I think most travel tales they're like
Oh,
fishing tales. They kind of evolve over time a little bit, but
yes, they have to make the story. Anyway, thanks so much, everybody. Thank you, Sandy, for finding us here. I'm so sorry to everyone about our tech issues. But I realised that I have been remiss and we have not chosen book 27 yet, but we will
we were
very soon. And then I will
yeah
announce it in all the usual places. But
yes
this has been Travels with
yes
Charley. Thank you very much, Justin, for your
no worries.
early morning spent with me. And thanks, everyone, for watching and listening. And we will return soon.
Goodbye.
Bye.